What's up, world? Let me tell you about this beard growth oil I got from 12 tribes on Earth. 8 ounces of oily goodness with a nozzle that prevents sprays and spills, and soft ingredients that make it perfect addition to anyone's morning routine. From coconut to castor, all these oils are hand chosen. After using this herbal blend, the biggest thing I noticed is how soft, how strong my hair was, and how good I feel. Pick up your bottle today and make your beard the star of the show.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, Donald Trump has cropped up with something else on him. First it was one hand, then it was the other hand. Now both his hands got bruises on it. And now he got this mark on his neck. Now he got his mark on that. I think the funniest thing I saw about it is somebody said Melania licked his neck. I don't think that woman would put any of herself on Donald Trump. She can barely stand that man. So, anyway, y'all, about 2 days ago, Donald Trump appeared and he looks very sickly to me. You can tell a lot is going on with Donald Trump. And people spotted a mark on Donald Trump's neck and were inquiring about it. Now, the only thing the White House would say is it's a rash. But when I looked at it for over the last 2 days. I don't know, y'all. It looks like Donald Trump might have some skin cancer, but they're really not revealing a lot. I mean, look, he had what, two MRIs just a few months apart, and that's unusual. And then he stands in front of the camera and said he had a perfect MRI. Is there even a such thing as a perfect MRI? You know how the man talks like a child. So anyway, I'm not believing it's just a rash. I'm just not buying it. I think Donald Trump is a really sick man that's barely holding up. And, this war thing is already imploding on him. And I found out last night how the US screwed up. Pete Hegseth is saying that he miscalculated how much weaponry the US had. He thought it was a lot more there than just 8 days. So when they started the war, they thought they had a lot of missiles and things at their disposal. And it wasn't until after they got started when they found out the US really don't have that much ammo. So that's why Donald Trump immediately tried to jump in there after the Ayatollah was taken out and call a ceasefire. And they pretty much told Donald Trump to go to hell. And they're not going to have this ceasefire, ladies and gentlemen, because see, they let Donald Trump dupe them into a ceasefire a year ago when they were fighting with Israel. I think they fought for like 12 days and Donald Trump dove in there calling for a ceasefire. And they're this time around, they are not listening to Donald Trump. They're not. He is not going to be able to go in there and stop this war, which means any day now, Israel already getting their behinds handed to them, and the US are about to really go down badly. Donald Trump and his administration are now coming in the media warning that there's going to be a lot of fatality. They already know because they're not going to have the ammo to fight off these missiles at all. So that's what they're saying, that the fatalities will be high. I noticed I did get a glimpse of the soldiers that lost their life, y'all. They're all white soldiers. One female and the other 3 were males, but all white soldiers were the ones that got, taken out. Now, I found out 2 more have been unalived, but I don't know, they don't really show these soldiers, and if you remember, when they started fighting in Iraq, after a while, they stopped showing the soldiers. It was so many of them losing their lives, they stopped showing it, and I think they're gonna do the same thing in this case. They in the beginning, they may show the, soldiers, but when it gets bad enough, the media in this country is just gonna stop showing it. It will be exactly the same. Yes, I did see that. In fact, I'm gonna be doing a live on Spain turning down Donald Trump. Ooh, he is mad. Well, apparently the US, I think, had like 11 or 12 jets on the Spanish base, and they're taking them all out. Donald Trump is mad as hell about that, and we're gonna really get into that, and it's not just Spain. Norway also turned down Donald Trump. See, you can't make an enemy of your allies and act like you can go it alone. Now you need your allies, and they're just laughing in your face now. Nobody's gonna help Donald Trump. He done gave every single ally, except for Israel, the finger. So there is going to be no countries helping the US. It's not going to happen. So, y'all, yeah, this is going to be bad, but you can thank the high IQ leadership for all that we are seeing happening. You know, when this is all said and done, nobody's going to ever trust your leadership again. People don't really trust it now, but they're really not going to trust it when Iran get the best of which they're already doing. Oh, I also found out another thing. China just gave, because you notice how Iran is striking all of these embassies and bases that belong to the US, and they hit one building that belonged to the CIA in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. You know why? China, I read, provided Iran with a map showing exactly where all of the military bases are, all of the US embassies, or anything that the US have overseas. They gave them a full map of the locations of all of these places. And if you notice, they've been precisely hitting these places. That's why China gave them a map of anything owned by the US over in that region so they can strike it. Yes. And I was reading that last night. So China is not directly in, but kind of indirectly in. But nobody is stepping up to help the US and Israel, y'all. And they're not coming. They're not coming. All right. Let's get into this thing that Donald Trump got on his neck and hear what people are saying about it. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. How you doing, True Royal? So on Sunday, I'm going to be doing a live stream, and we're going to really get into talking about the war. So LVZ and True Royal will both be there. And I'm going to see if I can get Queen Amadaya as well. I'm not sure if I can, but I'm going to see if I can get her on as well. because she's invited me several times over to her channel, so I'm going to invite her. Thank you, everybody.
A new rash on the right side of President Donald Trump's neck has people questioning his health. These images were taken during a Medal of Honor ceremony in the White House, but Trump's personal physician had an answer, telling CNN that the rash is caused by a cream he's using as a preventative skin treatment. They did not specify why Trump needed that treatment. The White House did not respond to questions about Trump's condition.
We have some news right now. New concerns are arising after this is an image of a new rash or an injury that appeared on the president's neck. This image was taken by Saulo from Getty. Now, we've known about the fact that the president has been using makeup to cover up bruising on his hand, but now this image was taken earlier this morning at a Medal of Honor ceremony he was giving to service members. I want you to look at his neck right here. As you can see, there's a new rash that has appeared. It looks like a pretty gnarly rash or some type of injury that happened under his ear in between his neck. And it's unclear whether it goes further down or not, but this is a real image that was taken today. And the question is, what is this? The White House hasn't provided any comment on what this is, whether the president is suffering from some type of rash or some type of other serious injury.
Donald Trump has a brand new rash on his neck that does not look good at all. And the White House's response is leaving more questions and answers. Now, if you missed it today, Donald Trump held an award ceremony at the White House, during which a photographer caught an image of Donald Trump's neck, and there is a rash on there that is not pretty. Check this out. That did not come from aggressively shaking hands. That is a situation right there. Now, the White House has put out a response, but it doesn't make any sense, saying, quote, President Trump is using a very common cream on the right side of his neck, which is a preventative skin treatment prescribed by the White House doctor. The president is using this treatment for 1 week, and the redness is expected to last for a few weeks, unquote. The trouble with that response is you're telling me this is a preventative cream. So it's supposed to prevent something worse than what we're seeing. That was scaly. That was bad. So if it's supposed to prevent something worse, what exactly does the president have? We, as the American people, have a right to know the president does not look good.
So a new rash has appeared on Donald Trump's neck. This is a photo taken by Saul Loeb earlier today when Donald Trump was talking about Iran in the White House. And that's looking pretty nasty. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I'm thinking this is like shingles or eczema or something like that. But if there are any dermatologists or doctors who can chime in, let me know in the comments what this might be. But this is in addition to all of the other medical problems that Donald Trump is still suffering from. He is still covering up his bruised hand with makeup every single day. The bruise that the White House has been incredibly secretive of, and they said it was because he's shaking so many hands. I wonder if this new rash is because Donald Trump was shaking hands. And then, of course, the mental decline, the swollen ankles, and more. There's a lot going on with Donald Trump, but this is not good. Not good at all.
When I say Trump is on borrowed time, crap like this is why I keep saying it. He showed up to a White House event with that on his neck, some sort of rash or injury. Dude, in addition to the hand bruises, they're still there, by the way. We don't know if this is a rash, an injury, but it kind of looks a little scaly and like bulbous, like a round little knob there. That doesn't look good. In addition to the very prominent bruising and makeup covering his hands, we know that the White House is not being fully transparent and open about his health, which obviously is not great. But what could this be? Any number of things. It doesn't look like stereotypical shingles. I've seen them before on my family and my mom. We don't think he has a history of psoriasis or eczema, but again, they're not fully disclosing his health.
Now, y'all, when you look at that, what does that look like to you? I don't know. I'm just leaning towards skin cancer. That's what I'm leaning towards of what we're looking at. I believe that's skin cancer. Yeah, he hasn't looked right for since he came back a second time in office. It is really obvious. You know, what we're seeing with our eyes is a very unhealthy man. Now, but that's what it looks like to me. You said syphilis. I see eczema and psoriasis, melanoma. Yeah, that's what I think it is. I really do. I don't believe that's a rash like they're trying to tell us. I think because, Donald Trump goes golfing a lot. So he's always out in the sun. And, I'm just saying, I think this is skin cancer. Mhm. Black Panther Strike, thank you for the super chat. This is indeed a dysfunctional man, along with his illegitimate administration, Sister Lisa, and family. Thank you. Thank you so much for your support for my channel. Yeah, but I'm sure sooner or later, you said clot his blood flow and arteries. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, look at what we have seen. Think about it. We saw the swollen cankles, and then we heard about him getting 2 MRIs, and then all of a sudden he had that nasty bruise on one hand, then it appeared on his other hand. So he's got 2 nasty bruises on his hands, and now this thing on his neck, you know? And I don't think his cankles ever went down, y'all. You notice they make sure whenever they show Donald Trump, you never see his ankles anymore. It's almost like once they were able to capture it, and you saw all the swelling and those big blown up cankles, you notice from that point on, you never see that. They make sure whenever they do a shot of Donald Trump, you don't see those swollen cankles anymore. They won't even let them shoot Donald Trump's ankle area anymore. They make sure they keep that out of the shot at all costs. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of things. Remember when he was walking to meet with Putin over the Ukraine Russia war, and he was zigzagging on the red carpet? I remember that too. He couldn't even walk straight, he was zigzagging. All right, let's get back to it.
Health anyway, so maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Again, there have also been rumors for years that he has late stage syphilis, which would, play into his cognitive issues and all sorts of things. But clearly something is not right with that man. And one day when Chasing Oz goes, did it happen yet? We're going to say it did. It really did.
Here's an update to the potential differential diagnosis of President Trump's rash on his neck. This is for educational purposes to try to help raise awareness about different skin conditions. It's not meant for diagnostic purposes, but his physician came out with a statement saying that he's using a very common cream on the right side of his neck, which is a preventive skin treatment, and that it's going to be used for 1 week, and the redness may last for a few weeks. So an additional possibility besides contact dermatitis, shingles, an infection, is something called actinic keratosis. That is a precancerous lesion that is the result usually of aging as well as sun damage. And so one of the potential treatments that can be used is a topical cream called 5-FU or 5-fluorouracil, which can cause the skin to look very irritated and red, potentially like what you see here. Actinic keratosis is considered a precancerous lesion to something called squamous cell carcinoma, which is why if it's identified, it tends to be treated. And so that's also a possibility. Again, this is not diagnostic. This is to help raise awareness. So if you have any concerning lesions like this, always talk with your doctor to have it checked out.
President Trump appeared with this noticeable rash on his neck today at an event at the White House, and this comes amid growing concerns surrounding the president's health over the last few months following visible bruising on his hands that he has unsuccessfully tried to cover up with makeup and reports of swollen ankles. When asked about the new rash on the president's neck, the White House released this statement from the White House doctor, which says, President Trump is using a very common cream on the right side of his neck, which is a preventative skin treatment prescribed by the White House doctor. The president is using this treatment for 1 week, and the redness is expected to last for a few weeks. Now, I've got a lot of questions about this statement. First off, I'm going to be very nitpicky when I say this, but as a former deputy press secretary myself at the White House, it's really obvious that this statement was not written by the White House doctor, which most statements aren't that come from any White House officials. They are written by the press team. But why on earth would the White House doctor refer to himself as prescribed by the White House doctor? Like, come on, guys, you couldn't do any better than that. But really, what my big questions are with this statement is, what is this cream preventative for, and why does the president need it? I doubt we'll get a clear answer to those questions from the White House, considering when the White House has been asked about the bruising on the back of Trump's hands, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gave the excuse that President Trump shakes too many hands, and that's why it's bruised, despite normal handshakes not involving the back of your hand. So we're going to keep monitoring this situation here at the Bulwark, and be sure to give us a follow.
What in the neck rot is that? Blech! 2 days ago, the orange Shitler's neck looked like this. Had a little bit of a rash, but not that bad. But the Associated Press caught this video today. Yeah. Some people are theorizing that it's shingles. Google search shingles and it'll come up like this. This is a beginning of a case. And this is a more severe case of shingles. Shingles is just a reoccurrence of chickenpox in older people. And it can be prevented with a vaccination. I got my vaccination within a month after I turned 50 because that's what you're supposed to do. Because my mother had a very severe case of shingles after she went through chemotherapy and her immune system was suppressed. I know from firsthand experience that it can be very painful and cause permanent nerve damage. It doesn't usually cause the but it's very, very painful.
She don't seem to be upset about what he's going through at all. In fact, there are some, that I saw out there, but it had music on there. I couldn't use it. But they seem to be real gleeful that Donald Trump is having health problems. I mean, they weren't upset about it at all. But yeah, something is definitely going on. But, Donald Trump and his administration, I don't expect them to be truthful about anything, not unless by chance somebody on the inside just come out and say what it is, or somebody leaves and say what it is. But I don't expect them to tell the truth about anything. I really don't. I mean, even with his cankles, they tried to give all these different rules. It's a circulation problem and this and that. And it looks like congestive heart failure to me. It looks like Donald Trump is having heart problems to me. But of course, they tried to say it was something else. So I don't expect no truth from this. None of your business. 1115. Thank you so much for your super chat. His true reptilian self is coming through the meat suit. Yeah. Well, thank you for your support for my channel. I deeply appreciate it. Shingles, more than yeah. Like I said, I don't expect them to tell the truth. We are talking about the Trump administration after all. So, but whatever it is, it must, being that it's on his neck around his collar area, yeah, that's probably very irritating because, he put a collar on, it's going to rest right up against whatever that is. Elizabeth, 48. Thank you, Lisa, for your outstanding work. Thank you for your support for my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and plus I also noticed since he took office, he don't travel as much as he used to. He got JD Vance running everywhere. Donald Trump rarely, if you notice, he rarely leaves the country. But JD Vance, he's always overseas. So he got him running everywhere while Donald Trump is pretty much stationary here. I mean, at this point, who would want to shake Donald Trump's hand? He got too much shit going on. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this live. I do have another one coming up at 1:45, and we're talking about since the war or somewhere around the war, a lot of people are doing videos saying they are done with MAGA. They are done with MAGA. And they have left. And yes, some of them are on camera crying. So we'll get into all of that at 1:45. So I will see you then. So everybody have a wonderful afternoon. And if you haven't seen it, the shampoo will be going on sale 25% off from the 6th to the 10th of March. Shalom, family.